Y'all definitely jumped the gun on this one. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joan and today's video will be about Cuties. Cuties is a 2020 French coming of age story directed by Mamouna Dacon that was released on September 9th on Netflix. Now this movie has been clouded in controversy since its trailer release in August. So me and Mal decided to order some food in for the night and decided to watch this movie and get our own opinions. And after watching that movie, I have some of my own thoughts. In this video, I will be breaking down two different sections: the story/plot of the film and my own general thoughts with the context of the controversy. There will be spoilers. So this movie is about Amy, an 11-year-old girl who's a part of a conservative Muslim family who starts to hang out with this girl group calling themselves the Cuties, which consists of 4 girls, Angie, Kumbia, Jess, and Yasmin, right after the discovery of her father's second marriage. Amy is drawn to the Cuties just off of their dancing and their friendship, and she wants to be a part of that. Yasmin gets kicked out of the Cuties after an unfortunate incident on Omegle, where the 5 girls are talking to this boy, and once he finds out that they're literally kids, he decides not to talk to them anymore. So Amy seizes her chance and she begins to be a part of this group and is dancing with them for this competition. Now, during this time, her mom is obviously going through some shit and she's distracted and not being fully there for her kids, so Amy is left to take care of her 2 younger brothers. She starts watching sexually explicit videos from adult women on YouTube and trying to figure out how to twerk like them, which she watched off of a family member's phone, Samba, that she stole. Amy is taken back by all of the praise that she's getting from her dancing videos with the Cuties online, and so, you know, she changes up her look and she starts dressing just as provocatively with the girls. She fights a girl from a rival dance gang and promptly gets beaten, and then she gets humiliated when the girl that she's fighting pulls her pants down in front of everyone in the courtyard. After this incident, Amy, well, it's either before this incident or after this incident, Amy is had to prepare food for her father's wedding with the community auntie, and during this time, she realizes that the audition with the Cuties is about to go when she's working on this food. So she bolts in the middle of taking this food to another location, and right when she gets there, the Cuties are already doing their audition and she can't join. So after that, her friends kind of abandoned her and were very upset that she wasn't there, but it wasn't her fault. At the very same time, Amy gets her period and it kind of gets glossed over. The community auntie basically told her that when she got her period, she got married off. And then when Miriam, her mom, comes in and talks to her about her period, she just basically said that she's a woman. So she didn't really get any other information after that. Miriam has a fainting spell, obviously due to the stress of this wedding. And Amy is looking at her like, you know, she doesn't care because she's getting the influence of her friends. And Samba, the family friend, comes to check on her. And that's when he discovers that Amy has stolen his phone. And when he takes it back and he's not going to give it back to her, Amy tries to sexualize herself in a very bad manner, in a very bad way. And Samba completely scolds her and tells her not to do what she's doing. She manages to steal the phone back and goes into the bathroom and takes a picture of her vagina and posts it online or on Instagram. After she posted it online, she goes to school and a boy in her class calls her a slut in front of everyone. So she beats him up. Her mother and the community aunt decide to pray over her and they're sprinkling holy water, and then she starts twerking while they're doing this. I'm not gonna lie, that scene was very interesting to watch and I didn't know how to feel about that one, but that scene happened. After that whole nude situation, the Cuties officially kick Amy out of the group and told her that she cannot dance with them. And on the same day of her dad's wedding is the same day of the dance competition. So Yasmin gets hooked back into the Cuties' good graces. But before she can perform, Amy pushes her into a river, takes her spot, and then the Cuties take the stage. While they're doing their dance, it's very awkward to watch. It's just very like weird. And it's like at first they're like dancing and it's like okay and people are enjoying it, but then once it crosses into that territory of twerking, it just gets really bad, and even the people in the audience start to react negatively. And in that moment, Amy comes to her senses and she sees how people are reacting. She sees the glitter falling, reminding of the time she got prayed over, and she bolts. She goes home and the auntie finds her and starts yelling at her for the way that she's dressed, and then her mom tells the auntie to lay off of her, and then Miriam tells Amy that she does not have to go to the wedding and leaves her at home. At that moment, you can tell that she's just at a crossroads. And in the next scene, she basically takes off this, you know, controversial uniform, but also the wedding dress is sitting on the same bed, and she walks out wearing jeans, a baseball tee that's red, and her hair out. So she kind of gets like a little bit of freedom in what she's wearing, and she's appropriately dressed. And the movie ends with her jumping rope with other girls, and she's kind of jumping up in the air, being a kid and being joyful, and she's actually finding that, which is something she's been looking for this whole time. To start, I like to say that I like this film. Hell, I loved this film. I don't know if this makes me sound pretentious, but this film is definitely not for the average movie viewer. As a film study student, I know what to look for when it comes to story and plot, how cinematography and music play into a film, and even what the symbolism means. And for Cuties, I think I got most of it. I sat here and watched this movie and related so much to it. I remember literally in middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade in middle school, acting this sort of way, throwing my ass back at a school dance, trying to make myself available to boys my age or even older boys. I was on Omegle. I was on Omegle around talking to random people, okay? I did this when I was in middle school. It's just crazy to me to see people jump so far into criticism for this film based off of the trailer, or even just watching the film itself and completely missing the entire point. The thing is, I watched the trailer and honestly, I was intrigued. I wanted to watch this film. Now, here's a hot take that you're probably never gonna not hear on this channel. I think international cinema is better than American cinema, especially French cinema. French filmmakers do not give about the topics that they decide to explore because they are normally taboo topics. They're topics that no one wants to touch, especially American film audiences. And the thing is that Mamoana Dacon wrote this movie based off her own experience. She wrote an opinion piece for the Washington Post that I will link down in the description so you can read and get how she used social media and literally watching these group of girls on stage who were 11 dancing in these provocative outfits and feeling some sort of way about it. She interviewed countless of teenagers, especially around that age, to get their perspective. I don't understand how any of that is invalidated. It's kind of crazy because I genuinely related to this movie so much. She even had a child psychologist on set to make sure that the girls had a proper source of understanding of what they're portraying, because let's not forget that this is still a film, and what they're giving off on screen, because who says that these girls may not even be going through some sort of similar reality in their life right now. Honestly, how can that be invalidated? You can't just sit here and think that none of this is happening right now. Literally, this happened to me, my friends, my sister. This is happening. Kids are acting this way, especially Black girls who get overly sexualized from a young age. Talking about not dressing a specific way when a male family member has to come to the house or something like that. We have been over sexualized. Plus, there's the stereotype of the Jezebel that started from the 50s that also plays a factor into this as well. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of these scenes were hard to get through. They were cringy and they were yucky and they were awkward and some were just sad. Like, on the topic of promoting pedophilia, I don't think this movie did that at all. Every single opportunity in this film that comes off as promoting pedophilia which is the relationship of a minor and an adult, never happens. Every single point when it does, it completely reverts back because these girls don't know what they're doing. For example, there is this one scene in the film where the 4 girls are in this laser tag place and they're getting kicked out because they're, you know, causing too much ruckus. And the first guard is telling them to leave, you know, or telling them to leave, and then also just like trying to get their parents to come pick them up. And then one of the girls starts to leave, so he grabs her to get her to stay, and they all accuse him of touching them inappropriately, which he did not. And he's standing there like doesn't know what to do. And then the second guard comes to figure out what's going on, and he asks what's going on, and the girls say that they're dancers, and they start dancing, of course, with their new dance moves, which is very provocative. And the second guard that came is looking at them inappropriately because that's what happens in real life. Happens. So I know it's just it's so crazy. These girls are in a society for sex sells for popularity and likes. Like, their parents are nowhere to be found to even talk to them about this stuff. Miriam, Amy's mom, is stressed over this wedding because, you know, her husband is marrying another woman, and basically leaves Amy to fend for her 2 younger siblings and for herself. When Amy gets her period, all Miriam tells her is that she's a woman now. She gives her no explanation on how the body works or why it does what it does and how it's going to affect her for the rest of her life. And that's all she tells her. So Amy doesn't even know what's going on with her own body. The symbolism in this film is very vivid, especially through this one object, Amy's wedding ceremony dress. It's this blue long dress. It's actually really beautiful. Traditional African, you know, dress. It hangs in the closet. She looks at it every once in a while. And this is a symbolism for her innocence. I mean, right when, you know, she's getting ready for this audition, she sees the dress and blood leaks out of the vagina period, signaling the start of her period, signaling the start of her becoming a woman. Then when she looks at it again, it starts growing breasts because that's what's happening to her body. And it's really interesting because, I mean, I got that very clearly, and I thought it was a really good way to showcase that. The cinematography was fantastic, the directing was amazing, and the child actors, they did an amazing job with the content that they used because they were believable. Now, I know there's some discussion about using, you know, older people for these 11, 12-year-old kids, but at the same time, this is based off of reality. The director saw this happening with the same age of these girls. So I think for me, using 11, 12-year-olds was the right move because that's happening. Do you really think that 11, 12-year-olds are not dancing to WAP right now? Or any other new TikTok dance? Going on Instagram, Snapchat? You really think that's not happening right now? You really think that? Then you're living in a bubble. You were living in a bubble because that's what's happening. And it's interesting because I just think this movie is so real and so raw for people. They don't want to realize that this is happening. I mean, it's crazy. My mind is blown. This whole movie is very uncomfortable, and it's like that on purpose. If y'all didn't know, I don't know if I have to tell you, but it's definitely like that on purpose. Like I said earlier, I related to Amy so much because I went through this as a young kid. You know, I'm almost 23 now. It's different for me, but just looking back, looking through this movie, I realized how I played into that. A lot of my friends played into that. I understand the need to try and fit in, especially at that young of an age. Middle school is brutal, okay? And I remember when I first moved to the town I'm in, which is a predominantly white town, a predominantly white school. I remember when they asked me, do you know how to twerk, Joan? Do you know what's on fleek? Asking me all the slang when it comes to Black culture, because if they saw me do it, then that means it's okay for them to do it. I remember that. My perspective going into this film is very different, honestly, from a filmmaker point of view, from a not the average movie viewer point of view, from a Black woman point of view. It's very different, and I hope later down the line that this film gets way more appreciation. I think what this film has done and has propelled discussion about social media and how it plays the life of young kids, having this discussion with their parents, and also just seeing how much kids will do to fit in. The backlash to this film is extensive, yes, but before you form an opinion, watch the movie first. Honestly, just watch the movie, because this movie is rated mature because kids have to deal with a mature when they're young, and that's the reality. Just because you don't see it around you does not mean it's not happening at all. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like the content of this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. If you also want to see more of this content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can be part of the Grape Gang. I will see you guys in the next one.